I'm Özgen.
And I'm Daniel, and welcome to Art Talks for Beginners.
If you're wondering whether a painting is by Friedrich or by Fragonard,
then you're in the right place. Welcome.
welcome. So this week we have a painting again with Daniel, and now he's going to look at it and tell us what he thinks about it first.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to maybe... It looks quite dark. I'm sort of nervous that this one is going
Yes.
to give me nightmares again. But hopefully,
Kind of.
with the practice of the other ones that we've looked at, now I'm a bit stronger psychologically. Hopefully.
We'll see.
It's a test.
What do you see here?
Yeah,
Let's
this-
start describing.
Lots of shadow is the first thing. I mean, it's a dark painting. But there are some figures which are very bright. And there are some... There's a clear sort of lighting feature in there. So if I focus maybe on the one in the middle, first of all, there's a very clear figure in the centre, holding a sword, grabbing another man's hand who is on the floor. The one on the ground is much older,
Yes.
and then the one standing is maybe in his early 20s, I would say.
Yeah, much younger.
Yeah. But then surrounding them there is, I guess first on the top right, there's an angel on a cloud with some wings and what looks like an arrow maybe being held down towards.
We'll get to that.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
a symbol we need to read later on.
Clue. And then going round clockwise, I guess, there are some other individuals, somebody looking shocked, turning away from what's happening in the centre. Then down at the bottom right, there are people looking towards the painting. Then on the bottom left, there's another figure, this time sort of hands on the floor towards the viewer, out towards the painting. Also looking at the centre, so there's something happening in the middle, I guess, an important event here.
Yes, exactly. That's what you need to focus on. When you look at the other figures, the ones that are not in the center, what do you think? What do you think they're doing? How are their reactions to what's happening in the middle?
Yeah, shock, I'd say. I think
Yes.
they all look shocked, maybe horrified,
Yes.
which has given me a clue that it's probably going to be a test to my psyche. There's something awful happening here. But they're all looking shocked towards it, I
Yes.
think. Or amazed, maybe. That kind
No,
of...
they're mostly in shock, in terror, we can say. They're in panic. They started to escape almost. When you look at the little boy on the right hand side, yeah, he's almost running away. He's screaming out loud, mostly. So
It's quite dramatic poses because of
Yes,
that. People
very,
moving.
very.
And,
But the idea of the painter here is to create this dramatic scene. That's why I believe he placed all these people in these different poses of terror and amazement and shock and escape. Where is this thing happening now? Where is this place?
It's hard to say. It's very dark, but there's maybe
you
a
have a
table
clue.
in the back. Is that an altar?
Yes,
Inside
good
a
one.
church, perhaps.
Exactly.
Okay.
Good one. That's a church. That's
Okay.
an altar.
Right.
And you just found the right place. So we know that it happens in a church.
I'm guessing because of the candle and the cross on the...
Yes, exactly.
Yes, I picked up.
You clearly see the altar behind. So what is happening in the altar now? What is this young guy doing to the old one?
I don't know.
It's easy.
Is it a threat? Is he killing him? No.
Yes, he's about to kill him.
It's always
He's about to
death.
kill him, and the older guy is about to be killed. It's so simple actually.
Okay. I thought maybe he could be...
Don't try to get something more
Maybe
complicated.
he fell over and he's...
and he's helping
helping
him. Oh, so nice of him.
I'm so positive about this. Maybe that's the really important moment in history when this guy fell down and needed to be lifted up. It could be.
It's
a
always
pivotal
good to
moment.
think positive, I believe. Very good.
Hopefully.
Maybe you can try to guess who could that old man be.
It's always scary when I have to guess something.
Yes.
I'm a bit nervous about exposing how little I know about things. But okay, we're looking at a murder scene, maybe, or somebody being killed in a church.
And it's a religious topic. You easily understand this because it's in a church.
Angel.
There's an angel.
Right.
So
Could it be the making of a saint?
yes, exactly.
It's
This
martyrdom.
is it's a martyrdom scene.
Okay.
And the old man you see there is a saint. I mean,
Right.
he has become a saint because he's killed for his belief.
But there
for
are
his
so
faith.
many saints.
Yeah, there are tons of them, but this one is a really important one. He's Saint Matthew. He's one of the gospel writers. Yes. Matthew is one of the missionaries who lived in Ethiopia, and he was spreading gospel among people, spreading Christianity.
The good word.
Yeah. And the Ethiopian king, he lusted after his own niece. And Matthew objected to that because his
Incest
niece...
is wrong.
That would be very nice, yes, but he had another reason, because his niece was a nun in the Christian church. So she was the bride of Jesus.
Right.
She cannot get married to her uncle.
Celibate.
Yeah, exactly. She needs to stay celibate. So that's why he objected to that. And after that, the Ethiopian king did what he could do. Of course, he sent an assassin and killed Matthew while he was celebrating Mass at the altar one day in the church.
Always the best way to solve a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Simple way, practical solution. So this is what we see in the event, actually. There's not much more to that than this story.
The person who's doing the murdering, or about to do the murdering, is an Ethiopian?
Yeah, he's an assassin. Yeah,
Okay.
more or less.
It's not very racially accurate.
I don't know. Sorry?
It's not very racially accurate.
Color-wise, maybe not, but I don't think the painter is trying to get that right in the picture.
Okay.
And because he's just painting his people, the people he sees around him, and we will also see that he's also painting people in their own clothes, contemporary clothing.
Okay.
It's not the clothes that they should be wearing 2,000 years ago, but instead they're wearing clothes of the contemporary period.
From the painter's period.
From the painter's period, yeah.
Okay.
So that's why it's not a good match. When you think about Ethiopia, you might expect people to look darker, but no, these are not.
This feels like a clue. Because if it's being realistic or if it's representing a moment.
Yes, you can use that, and also this can give you a clue about the period of the painting,
exactly.
because they do these kind of things in more older times, in more old masters, you can say. So anyway, you will use that, exactly. Keep it as a clue to yourself. When we look in the middle of the painting, we see the assassin as a very muscular, strong, young man. So he's in power, he has a big sword in his hand, and he's about to hold Matthew and just put his first blow on him with the sword and kill him directly.
Drive the sword through his heart or something.
Yes, exactly. In contrast, when we look at the painting, we see Matthew on the floor. He has fallen down. He's trying to recoil. He's trying to get up. But the assassin is pulling him, probably. We see that. And you see the contrast between the power of these two people. The assassin is extremely strong, and Matthew is extremely weak.
Presented as weak,
yeah. He's old as well. He doesn't have the energy. But also, when you look at it, you might see that Matthew is actually not resisting too much either.
He has a hand held out, I guess, but that's more...
That's a key to something else, actually. Look at this hand out. What is he trying to reach? It's not an arrow.
It's not an arrow?
Just take a closer look.
That looks like a branch.
It's not an arrow. It looks like a branch or what? It's a leaf, actually.
It's a leaf? Okay.
Yes. What type of a leaf? Can you look at the leaf part? Upper part. It's
wheat?
No. It's actually a palm leaf.
Aha.
And palm leaf is a symbol of martyrdom.
Okay.
So many saints, you see palm leaves in their hands. That's a very typical symbol of martyrdom. What Matthew does is actually, if you notice, he's trying to reach the martyrdom. He's trying to reach the palm leaf, which is given by the angel to him.
Right.
So what he's doing here is not to resist the assassin, but actually, or protect himself. But instead, he's trying to reach out to martyrdom. So he would rather die than resist.
For the cause.
For the cause, for his faith. Because becoming a martyr is something of a moment of joy, a moment of ecstasy for the saints. And when you give a closer look to it, you see that the assassin's arm reaching out to him, and the angel's hand and the palm leaf are two parallels. And what's Matthew choosing is actually not to resist and push back the assassin, but he's choosing the other way, the way to martyrdom.
Right.
That's what he's doing.
So the choice is between self-defense, physically, against this assassin, or choosing to die for the cause that you believe in and aim
exactly
for, literally.
So by doing this, the painter is actually making Matthew look much, much more bigger in front of us.
It's still interesting to show the assassin in this power pose, though. Gives him quite a lot of power, but I guess that's part of the story of martyrdom as well.
Yes.
It's important that he was killed.
Yes, exactly. It's a way of telling people that he was in an unjust situation, he couldn't defend himself, and they just killed poor Matthew, but he didn't even resist because his faith was stronger than his will to live. He is caught off guard when he was celebrating the Mass in the church, and this is the place he would least expect to be killed. It's the church, it's a sacred ceremony he's conducting in the house of God. You would never expect somebody to come and kill you as you are the priest. So that also is the key to putting the assassin there and putting Matthew there and create a scene that just will make you think that there was a struggle before.
Right, but it's more glorified then.
Yes.
I guess even more glorified because it's in the house of God.
Exactly.
Making somebody choose between themselves and defending their own self versus choosing to defend the faith.
What you would notice in the painting is that everything looks extremely realistic, don't I? And
I've never seen an angel in church.
Yeah, that one. Except that one.
Right.
But when you look at the angel, who sees the angel in the painting?
Matthew.
It's only Matthew who sees the angel.
Who's looking at the angel?
Yeah, he's looking at the angel, and he's the only person who is aware of the existence of the angel in the environment, and the other figures have no idea.
Right.
They are just terrified, but what they are seeing now, a murder there, experiencing, they just come across.
Everybody's looking towards the action.
Yes, exactly. Nobody sees the angel. Nobody looks at the angel. That is also one side of the story when Matthew's about to die and he's making a connection with God through this angel. And
it's interesting if you think about the lines of sight. Everybody's drawing your attention with their lines of sight towards the center.
Yes.
And when you look at the center, you see his line of sight going up towards the angel.
Yes.
So there's a direction.
Yes, absolutely. This is what the painter is doing. He just, wherever you look at in the painting, it just draws you in the middle and then takes you up to the angel, to God. So that's a religious painting. So that is what it should do. And it just, as a viewer, it takes you to God, delivers you to God.
That sounds like another clue. I think I remember something about these different periods and whether some periods are trying to impress you with the power of God.
Yes, another clue. Keep the clues. You have two now.
I have two,
yeah. Yes. Let's look at the other figures. For example, the child on the right-hand side, he's very scared and he's screaming, and the painter put there a child, I believe, to create an extra drama, extra sense of drama, and murder is happening in front of a child. The right-hand side corner, two figures, and they are actually almost naked.
Right.
Why do you think they are naked in the church?
Is it a baptism?
Yes,
okay.
They're about to be baptized. Good guess, thanks. Yeah. You got that one. They're about to be baptized, and they're quite defenseless at this stage as well, because they're even almost naked. So they're very terrified, and they just basically push themselves to the corner. They're trying to defend themselves as much as they can.
But that makes it even more of a sort of vulnerable place for this murder to happen, because people are not expecting to be, you're not in armor, for example.
Yes. You don't have your weapon with you, for example. It's not just Matthew who doesn't expect that, but nobody is expecting this.
But I see on the left there are more people with more clothes on.
Yes, exactly. Let's look at them. One of them is about to be baptized, probably the one lying down a bit up at the bottom. But the other ones, they are in contemporary clothes of the period.
These four?
These 3-4 people, and they have fancy hats.
Feathers.
With feathers, and they have nice clothes. They are shown as more like upper class, maybe a little bit more noble men, but they're experiencing that scene as well. Maybe the painter is trying to create a bit of a contrast between the naked figures and clothed figures. They look similar to another painting Caravaggio painted, and it's about Matthew as well.
Okay.
That painting is called The Calling of St. Matthew.
This one?
Yes. When Jesus comes and meets Matthew and calls him to faith, because Matthew used to be a tax collector working for the Romans before he meets Jesus. In this painting, Jesus is making a connection with Matthew and is just taking him as his apostle. That is the moment
of conversion.
Conversion, yes. His conversion to Christianity, we can say. And these people were his assistants. And we see in the other painting where Matthew is killed, as if no time has passed, although it's a lot of time passed, Matthew became older, but you see these figures still look like his assistants.
Or his colleagues, or...
Yeah, more or less. The people who worked with him when he was a tax. It just tries to give you that sense, probably. It looks like them.
The connection from the moment of conversion to now.
Yes, to his past a bit. Because these two paintings are in a chapel. in Rome, and they are displayed just next to each other like this.
So it's part of like a series. Were they designed to be next to
Yes,
each other?
they are parallelized in one sense and connected to each other with those figures as well.
Right.
One thing interesting, at the very back, just go behind the assassin, you see a figure which has a very realistic face, looks like a portrait. This is the painter himself.
Okay.
That is a self-portrait, actually.
This one?
Yes. Now that we have covered the story, now it's time to guess the period.
I have to
or the movement.
remember the clues that I banked from earlier.
Yes, what did you bank?
said Caravaggio at one point, so I think I know that
Did
it's...
I?
Yeah, I think it's a Caravaggio.
Oh my god, yes, it's a Caravaggio.
Which makes it Baroque.
Too bad.
He's one of the masters of the Baroque
Yes,
period.
now it became too easy for you.
Yeah, I think, I mean, we
But
said...
how do you understand that it's Baroque? Let's get to that.
The light is, I think, the first giveaway, right? The light and the shadow, that's a big part of the Baroque period. To have the dark canvas and then the light on
Yes. What do we call this? Do you remember?
Oh, it's got a fancy Italian name.
Yes, it's chiaroscuro.
Yeah.
Chiaroscuro is applying light and shadow together in a dramatic way. For example, as you said, painting the background quite dark and applying very well lit places, very light colored places to show as if light falls on those places to attract attention of the viewer to those locations in the painting.
I think this is a good example of that because the center is so well illuminated versus everything else. Everybody else only has enough light on them for you to be able to identify what's happening.
Absolutely, that's why. And this is a very typical Caravaggio scene. Caravaggio uses this chiaroscuro in a very nice way. He is the one actually who took over the chiaroscuro technique from the Renaissance period, but he just excelled it to a point where it looks really, really dramatic and it really looks effective. When you look at it, you feel like this is a theater scene,
right? And
as a viewer, you just feel like you're just watching a scene.
Spotlight.
Yeah, it has a spotlight effect, as if there are spotlights on people, or maybe there's only one spotlight which is illuminating the mid part of the painting, so it attracts your attention here to the assassin. Actually, this is designed in a way that even if you look at this painting from a distance, the first thing you see is the assassin.
Right.
So you start seeing the assassin's naked body. That's why it's naked as well, to reflect more light.
Right. To bounce the mirror back.
Yes. Other than light and shadow, what do you see that tells you that this is Baroque?
We talked about the religious importance of how this is a religious scene, which is, and there's a lot of sensitivity in this scene. They're in the church. He's giving mass. There's baptism.
Yes.
It's a very sort of weak or vulnerable moment. And that's the moment that the assassin comes in. So there's the choice you said about between self-defense, I'm reading it like that,
yes,
and the palm branch towards martyrdom. It's really accentuating the fact that it's a religious moment, which is, I think, in the Baroque period is important to bring, to impress the viewer.
And absolutely, that is the right word.
Right.
Impress the viewer. This is what the Baroque painters wanted to have, because that is the period where the Christian church has already divided. Before Baroque time comes, of course, it's during Renaissance time. The church is divided. Protestants divided their church. So the Catholic Church, which has become weaker, they wanted to have a counter-reformation. And using art was a tool to make their counter-reformation stronger, to invite the viewer by using images to church, to faith back. So when you look at this, your faith is replenished, we can say. Okay. This is what tells you that faith matters. Believe in God. Come to us. Come to the church back again. This is propaganda. So the religious impact is there. And inviting the viewer is also something that
bringing you in.
Baroque uses. And at this stage, what Baroque does is it actually either puts a character who sends out a hand to you, reaches out to you to grab you in. Literally, there are figures who do that in some Baroque paintings. Or sometimes they just leave a space in the middle or in one of the corners to take the viewer in the painting through that space.
To invite you to take space in the
painting. Exactly. And in this one, you see in the very middle, there's an open spot where you stand as a viewer and look at that, and you are a part of these people.
It does feel like it's sort of a round.
Yeah, it's a round thing, and in the middle there's a spot for you, and then you feel like you're one of those nicely dressed gentlemen or one of those who are about to be baptized. Once he has done this in this very interesting light and shadow effect, chiaroscuro, which was not used like this before so much, he became instantly famous in Rome.
Because this is breakthrough piece.
Yes, for Caravaggio and for Baroque, this is a breakthrough piece. Caravaggio used to live in Milan first. Then he moves to Rome and starts to get commissions, but he's still not so famous. But after this painting, he becomes extremely famous.
Okay.
The older painters around, or the older maybe art critics, we can say, who control art, they didn't like it so much because it didn't look like the manneristic style that was prominent at the period. Mannerism comes after Renaissance, so it didn't look like that. It looked more realistic because manneristic looks a little bit more polished, and Baroque looks extremely realistic, so it's different. So they didn't like it so much, but the young artists of the period, they instantly took it in. They loved it, and they were so impressed by Caravaggio.
So this is an early Caravaggio then? How old is he?
It is done around 1599, 1600. So this is the turning point where we generally count where Baroque begins. It's 1600 when actually it begins, and this is the turning point piece, we can say.
It's like the first Baroque piece.
No, we cannot say that this is the first Baroque piece, but before that, Caravaggio's paintings were more focused on genre painting as well. Some Baroque pieces he has as well. This is not exactly the first one, but this is the one that brought a lot of attention to Caravaggio.
Started the movement.
And started the Baroque movement. And after that, many painters were so impressed with Caravaggio that they just used his chiaroscuro style in the same way as he did. Even there are Caravaggisti, we call them the Caravaggisti, who do paintings in the same style, even in the north, for example, in the Flemish lands, in the Dutch lands, there are painters who apply the exact same style.
Because it's so impressive.
Yes, that's and in Italy, of course, he had a lot of followers like Reni or Gentileschi. There are a lot of painters.
So you said these paintings were in a chapel in Rome?
Yes, they
I'm
are.
going to guess the Sistine Chapel.
Now, actually, it's not the Sistine Chapel, but they are in a church in Rome, San Luigi dei Francesi, that church is called. And both of the paintings are there. And they are ordered by a cardinal of the church, Cardinal Contarelli. And Cardinal Contarelli, before he died, he actually put everything on paper, what he wants in the painting.
So the cardinal described the painting before he died,
yes.
And then Caravaggio took the description and made the painting afterwards.
Yes, but the actual patron in this sense is the one who ordered the painting is actually Caravaggio's patron, Cardinal del Monte, another cardinal living in Rome at the time, and Caravaggio was already working for Cardinal del Monte for many other paintings.
Okay.
And for this one, this order came through Cardinal del Monte for the church of San Luigi dei Francesi. That's all for today on Caravaggio's painting, The Martyrdom of San Matthew. Thank you very much for watching us.
Stick around for more instances of me not being able to recognize plants.
And stay tuned for more Art Talks for Beginners. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.